I like Mama Koto. She's good. And her design is really, really cool. She's got good makeup and bunny ears.
She's hot, too.
She hot.
She's
Yeah.
super hot.
She is.
Damn.
She's great.
Damn.
Me and Dominic at the end of one episode were like, yeah, we'd tap that.
Damn.
What? She's really attractive.
She is really hot. She is 100% my type.
She is an older woman.
きっと約束だよいつかまた同じ笑顔で
Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 104 of the Annie Chat Box, where 5 friends snuggle up in a teeny tiny space to talk about all things anime. I am your host for today, Dominic, and directly to my left we have our wonderful producer, Cassie.
You nailed it, honey. You did it.
I did my best.
You're great. You're doing the best.
I'm doing what I can. In the next room, we have Craig, our tech person.
What's up, Internet? How's it going?
And across the continent, we have Cammy.
Hey there, everybody. I also want to echo Cassie's statements that, yes, Dominic, you are doing amazing, and we love and appreciate you.
We do. So very much.
I try.
That's a lot coming from the cinnamon roll of the podcast, Amy.
I know. It means so much.
She doesn't give out compliments like candy. I forgot what candy was for a second.
How could you forget? How could you forget what candy is? Who are you?
I don't know.
And over in the great UK, we have John.
Hello, everyone.
He just woke up.
Yeah.
That is true.
And today we will be talking about my host choice for the current episode, which is Kyousou Giga by Studio Toei Animation. Other shows they've done include Dragon Ball Z, Digimon Adventure, Precure. Chances are, if you watch anime, you've probably seen something by Toei Animation. The synopsis for this particular show goes, long ago there was a monk named Myoe who could bring anything he drew to life. He quietly lived with his wife Koto, a black rabbit in human form, and their 3 children, Yakushimaru, Kurama, and Yase. One day, the high priest of the land concluded that Myoe's drawings caused too many problems for the locals and ordered him to find a solution. In response, the family secretly fled to an alternate world of Myoe's own creation, the Looking Glass City. Everything was peaceful until Myoe and Koto suddenly vanished. Their 3 children are left to take care of the city, and Yakushimaru inherits Myoe's name and duties. Stranded in this alternate world, their problems only get worse when a young girl, also named Koto, crashes down from the sky and declares that she is also looking for the older Myoe and Koto. Armed with a giant hammer and 2 rowdy familiars, Koto might be the key to releasing everyone from the eternal Paper City. So yeah, that is the show synopsis, and it's not a bad synopsis.
Nope.
I actually haven't, even though this is my host choice, this is actually my first time watching the show. I mainly just picked it because my other choice was something I wasn't sure I wanted to force everybody to sit through just yet. I mean, it's gonna happen, just maybe not immediately. So, I went and picked this instead because, 1, I've been meaning to watch it for like a really long time. And, 2, because it just seemed to be a better... It's short, and it just seemed to be a better thing to sit down with. So, yeah. No personal biases here for this host choice. Should we head on into story, or...?
Sure. I think that's where we're going to spend a lot of time, to be completely honest.
I imagine.
I think we all have a lot to talk about.
I think you do. I think you have a lot to talk about.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if everybody else does. Well, before we talk about this story, I want to talk about another story, if that's okay. I have actually watched the first episode of this show 3 times before I watched it for the 4th time when we went through this time. I picked up Kyousou Giga like years ago because I thought the first episode looked really cool. And then I watched it again with another friend. And then me and Craig and Zach, and occasionally another person, but mostly us three, had this little tradition that we did sometimes when we were together and we didn't know what to do called rock, paper, scissors anime.
All right.
And basically what it was is all three of us would play rock, paper, scissors, and whoever won got to pick a random anime to introduce everybody to the first episode to. So one day I won first or second, or I eventually won. We just keep going around until everybody wins once. And I made everybody watch the first episode of Kyousou Giga, and I loved it. So when Dominic picked it for their host choice, I was like, finally, I'll get past the first episode. It's kind of like, Haikyuu with me, where eventually I'll get past the first season.
Eventually.
Someday. I just needed somebody to give me that push to get past the first episode of Kyousou Giga, and I think that, generally speaking, before everybody starts talking, I feel that the story and me have a very complicated relationship. Because there are times I really like Kyousou Giga's story. I think that it does a really cool, thing with family and showing how when a part of the family suddenly vanishes or goes missing, every single one of the siblings lost a part of themselves or something that defined them. So for example, without going into spoilers, Mioe he technically lost his name and his identity. And you get that from the synopsis, but also something very important to him that he wanted to happen, but they wouldn't let him. And that's complicated and interesting. Yase lost, her mom, so that was complicated and made me want to cry. And Kurama lost, his possible one way to, see the world. So all of the siblings lost something by losing part of their family, and I think the show goes through each sibling individually and really shows that well. And then in the last few episodes, it just strives to do a bunch of abstract stuff that I had a hard time personally following. But I think overall I liked the story, but I feel like there are times where you look at it and you're like, why are you like this?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you have to leave your towel on the floor in the bathroom? Like, why do you have to be like this, show?
I feel like this is like a personal attack on me right there. Like that was just coming out through her subconscious.
Do you do that? Do you leave your towel on the floor?
I mean,
Sometimes.
Let's be honest, I'm not the one who's going to care about that. But I'm just saying, like, when you live with somebody for a long time, you start realizing the little things that, like, they're still amazing and they're still wonderful and, I guess, fun to look at, but they keep doing these little things that irritate you, like not explaining super important plot points that maybe explain how Koto exists in the first place.
Yeah.
But hey, that's just how I felt about it. What did you guys think about the story?
I have to agree with you primarily. I do love the fact that this is a story centered around family, and it also approaches like trauma and forgiveness in family. It's not something that I feel like we come across in anime very often. So I definitely did like that. And I think you mentioned before, Cassie, that sometimes you would have fun like theory crafting with this show, right? Like trying to kind of...
Sure.
Yeah. I also, for probably like up until around episode 7, I also did the same sort of thing. Sometimes I am very quick to get frustrated when I don't understand things, but I was just like able to kind of be patient with the show, and especially because they would kind of give you flashbacks that clarified more later. So I was like, okay, I'll hold on and I'll get through this. But around episode 8 to 10, it just did some weird things, and yeah, that I think left me a little less impacted than I was at the start. So I think this show's going to be worth a rewatch. Like, now that I've kind of oriented myself with how grand and fantastical it is and some of the little details, then I can go back and really catch more. I almost felt stressed watching this show sometimes because I was like, I know there's 12 things that just whipped past my head that I didn't get. So sometimes I was like, I have to really pay attention, and the show felt a little like laborious for me to watch. I do think it's fun. I think that I would also appreciate it more on a rewatch.
I would agree. It's at least in regards to the story.
Mm-hmm.
I get where you both are coming from. Personally, the way the story was presented, especially in the later half, didn't particularly bother me. And I think that's partly because of how I was framing my view of the show in my own head.
Mm-hmm.
because when I first started this show, there was a lot that popped out to me that reminded me of, like fairy tales or in particular Japanese folklore. And if you're at all familiar with Japanese folklore, like a lot of stuff that happens in those kind of stories kind of just happens because like gods can just do whatever the hell they want for no particularly like explained or apparent reason. And I think that's part of the reason that I didn't really need every single little thing like kind of presented to me in like a logical kind of way. So that was for me, it was just kind of like taking things like, oh, I can watch this and something maybe might not be explained directly, but it doesn't really, to me, it didn't really have to be because it was very much in line with something that I could see it was clearly taking inspiration from. So that was how I eventually started viewing it.
I took it as, this is essentially anime Alice in Wonderland as a girl goes to the city through the looking glass, or Kyoto, and basically, or FLCL, and crazy shit is zany, and things are whipping by your head. Like, I echo a lot of sentiments that you said, like episodes 1 through 7, or 1 through 6 anyways, were pretty straightforward and they're episodic and they kind of fleshed out the world. They world built, like, granularly. But when you hit episode 8, kind of just implements some out there ideas and character motivations, kind of like you're kind of questioning, but I mean, I feel as though it wrapped up fine. It should be noted that it's a short watch, so really it didn't feel egregious to get through, at least to me anyway.
No, it was only 10 episodes.
Yep.
And to be fair, I think that it was abstract as early as episode 2. Because I remember watching the first episode and being so into it. And then me and Dominic watched episode 2 and I was like, I don't know what I just watched. Like, those were my exact words when the episode ended. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then as the show went on, I think the show does a really good job of helping you keep it in its pace, where you're confused, but it's also every time it shows you something new, it's almost referring back to something that happened before. So it's like very slow. I won't say drip feeding you, but it's giving you a little piece of thing, a story element to hold on to, and then later it kind of all falls into place. And I love shit like that, which is why I think I was really jamming with the first half. And then in the last couple episodes, I feel like it, instead of like doing that, it just hit the accelerator. And it's like, you do want to know what's going on? We don't even know what's going on. Have fun! Which I guess is fine in some regards, but I guess I was having so much fun once finally Dominic said, Cassie, you don't need to, like, just don't think about it. Just enjoy the ride for what it is for right now. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then episode, 7, especially 8, 9 happened. And I was like, I can't hold on to the fun boat if it's rocking this much. Like, I have to abandon the fun boat at some point if I'm getting this frustrated.
The fun boat's gonna capsize, you gotta get out.
Yeah, but
That's part of the fun.
I guess if you like drowning. Speaking of boats, I'm gonna hop into one and go over to England and see what John thinks, because he has been quite quiet.
Yeah, quite early on, I was like, this is giving me some really cool footy-cooty vibes. And FLCL vibes, and in a good way, I mean. So I kind of braced myself for, like, this is not going to all make sense because of that. And I know that there is stuff that I probably missed as a result of not trying to make sense of it, because I know it's a series that if I want to make any sense of it, I'm going to have to rewatch it probably a few more times to make sense of it, which I do want to do now. I did have a lot of fun watching this, so yeah, I do want to go back and rewatch it and try and make a bit more sense of all of the zany things that happened. And there were a bunch of zany things that happened that I chalked up to it's a fake made city, essentially. The city, the Looking Glass, at first was presented as existing inside Mioe's drawings. So I just chalked up a bunch of other things happening to that, being the case. Just like, it's made up, so not everything needs to make sense. And therefore not everything will make sense. But, yeah, story-wise, that's not so much the case. Yeah, it just, as Cassie said, like, towards the end, they hit the accelerator and it all goes by so quick, and I'm just like, that was fun! I want to do it again, and actually try and catch more of the details next time.
It's a roller coaster, and at the end, you really didn't know what was going on whipping past you, but you want to go see it again.
I think one of the things that I had a problem with was in episode 9, there was a quote-unquote info dump that was literally a guy just walking and talking to her, which I'll get to that in production, because it's the one part where I was like, really? Ugh, okay. Yeah. But the thing that bothered me was I was like, I know that right now I am supposed to be understanding something, but everything that this guy is saying is gibberish. I don't understand. And the thing is that I guess maybe I got I don't know if this was a joke you played on me or not, but Dominic was like, don't worry about episode 8. You'll understand more after you get to episode 9. It's basically an info dump episode. It'll make a lot more sense when you're done. And I went and watched episode 9, and all I could think was, you're a fucking liar. I don't understand anything.
I got it. I mean...
One of the things that I do really like about this story, though, regardless of how sporadic it can be, is I really like some of the themes of this story. Mm-hmm. Unconventional family, love, the duality of somebody's intentions. Mm-hmm. Because Mioe is a very interesting character in that he seems to have the best of intentions sometimes, and then some things he seems to just do on a whim. Mm-hmm. And by Mioe, I mean Papa Mioe. Yep. Mm-hmm. I almost said Papa Moe.
Papa Moe.
Which would have been very confusing. But yeah, I think Papa Mioe, we get some different points of view on him, and especially towards the end, not everything that you thought maybe he stood for is exactly what he thinks and feels. And I think at the end of this show, I still am a little bit concerned and don't understand exactly what he thinks. Mm-hmm. He might need some intergalactical therapy or something. But yeah, that's the only other thing about story I really want to touch on is I think the show has amazing theming. Mm-hmm. And I could connect in a lot of, like, there was one episode in particular where Yase loses a cup, for example, and I was super invested because it talks about how we tend to associate people, feelings, emotions, memories with objects, and how when those memories are gone and as they fade, they, that their importance just becomes that much greater. And I thought that was really cool. Yeah. And they play with that kind of stuff a lot in the show, and I loved the shit out of it. It's just the actual narrative from beginning to end was kind of sporadic and hard to understand at times.
To piggyback off of that, actually, I did want to mention, too, that for me, the early episodes that were each like a flashback dedicated to each of the kids, which includes the one about Yase that Cassie mentioned, were absolutely my favorite episodes of the show, because I thought they did a really good job of getting me to understand the characters, their pain and their motivations, and how that has basically brought them to where they are as adults as like time passes, because we have, flashback and then like the present day chapters. And I really, really like those episodes. I almost wish that episode 8 or 9, whenever we get an info dump from Papa Mioe, I kind of wish Papa Mioe just said, so, here's the story. Then it kind of faded and we could get like a dedicated flashback episode on Papa Mioe. That would have been ideal for me. That would have been great.
I have so many questions and comments and concerns about Papa Mioe.
Yeah. Indeed.
And because we keep calling him Papa Mioe is because there's another character, Mioe, who he passes his name on to, and there's 2 Kotos as well. Mm-hmm. So that's mildly confusing.
Mama Koto?
Mama Koto and Baby Koto. That's what we got here.
Yeah.
So we can move on to characters.
There's so many good characters in this series.
There are. The characters
Right?
are the best part. Well, maybe outside of the production. Or maybe they're about on the same. But, like, the characters in the show are really good.
This show, in my opinion, only has one character, but everyone else aces.
I don't even think there are any characters. I just think there are characters I wish I knew more about.
Yeah.
And that is in the main cast with, like, Papa Mioe and Mama Koto. Like, I don't think that Mama Koto was a bad character. I just wish I knew what more happened between them. Outside of just seeing them in episode 1 and 2 and them coming back towards the end for reasons that I don't want to go into. But, I mean, I want to know more about what was going on between them and what made what had happened happen.
Mm.
But outside of that, I don't really have a whole lot of complaints. Even the side characters I cared more for than I thought I was going to.
The science team was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yase's
Monster.
entourage of
Her
monster
entourage,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, her team.
familiar servants, whatever you want to call them, they were fun as well, even if they never spoke a line.
A really awesome side character that I really loved was like the girlfriend San or whatever, like Miss
Miss
Girlfriend.
Girlfriend.
Yeah.
She was great. I love how she had that little heart-to-heart with Koto.
Mhm.
It was nice.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they did do really good with the side characters as well. I do think that was a big strength of the show for me because even when I would feel confused or like misled by the story, I mean the characters did ground me back in and I was able to like invest in them. And that's a big matter for me, so that was definitely a huge plus that the show did really well with its characters.
I'd also say outside of a few of them, I understood what their motivations were.
Mhm.
Or what their wants and needs and what their place was in the narrative, sort of.
Yeah.
For the most part, from beginning to end. I felt like I was learning about them with the narrative. So I think that it does a really good job of making you care.
Mhm.
Even when it does do its I'll say frolics of whimsy.
Frolics
You're
of whimsy.
still... Yeah, you're still there. You're still along for the ride, with the characters, at least.
Is this a production thing, or could this be considered a character thing for me to like the crowds? I just like the style of the crowds.
Was cool.
I would say that's a production.
That's a production thing, because we don't really know anything about the crowds, and they don't really play into the characters,
Yeah.
really, but I agree. We can talk more about that in production,
Yeah.
but should we all talk about our favorite characters?
Yeah. I was kind of at a crossroads of who to choose for my favorite character, but Cassie made the good choice to pick one of them, so I went with another one that we're going to talk about. So my icon today is Mama Koto, who is a character that I definitely do feel I wish we had gotten more of, but honestly, by the end, I really did feel like I understood her motivations, where her priorities were, and she just really loves... She loves a lot of people. She really loves her kids. She loves her family. She wants to be there for them. And I just thought she was really sweet, and I respected her a lot by the end. I liked some of the conflict that she even brought up towards, like, the first person she ever loved, because she was looking at the situation where it was presently. And yeah, I really respected her. I like Mama Koto. She's good. And her design is really, really cool. She's got good makeup and bunny ears.
She's hot, too.
Mm.
She hot.
She's
She
super
is.
hot.
She is. She's
Damn.
great.
Damn.
Me and Dominic at the end of one episode were like, yeah, we'd tap that.
Damn.
But she's really attractive.
She is really hot. She is 100% my type.
She is an older woman.
I really laughed out loud when both Mama Koto and Baby Koto were in the science area.
Oh, that was
And-
so cute. Yes.
And they were commenting like, "Are you sure you're related? You look nothing alike. You don't resemble each other at all." And then Mama Koto's off doing stuff in the background. Stuff happens, and it's like, never mind. You two resemble each other a lot.
Breaks a monitor. You're just like, oh shit, they are the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah, so she was good. But her daughter was also good. And
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, she was. Yase is who I'm sporting today, and I think that the reason why I picked her is because, I don't know, I felt for her more than I really did anybody in the cast. Her episode where we get her little flashback and her little, my memories are attributed to items that I don't have anymore that remind me of my mother, like, literally, like, it made me tear up. It's the closest I got to crying while watching this show.
Dang.
And I remember at one point, I think I deliriously last night was like, I miss my mom.
Aww.
I was like, this is the one thing Kyousou Giga did right, or something. I vaguely remember me saying something like that. Well, it did a lot of things right, but that was one of the things that actually, like, really impacted me and made this show a lot better, was Yase's episode. And also, the attention they give to other characters as well, but I just think that her specifically, especially as I've gotten older, I think that I resonated a bit with her conflict. A lot.
Yeah.
Also, her design is also nice and interesting.
She's so good.
She reminds me of Macrophage a little bit, just one of those elegant ladies.
Yeah. I just love that she tries to put on airs as if she's an elegant lady, but she's actually this violent demon. I love that. The duality there is just something I could probably sit and talk about for a while. So, Yase is good. I liked her. I also liked Kodama, to be fair, but I kind of was annoyed with him most of the time.
Yeah.
I think that all of the siblings got, like, a really nice episode, but I think out of all of the siblings, she's the one I felt for the most, because I feel like she had the most pure intentions of wanting their parents back, I guess.
Yeah. I'd agree. For me personally, the 3 OG siblings were probably the characters that I was most invested in. And again, for me, I think that also goes back to that I thought their episodes were super strong.
Mioe's was probably, because I don't know if anybody has him as their character. I just wanted to throw a little bit,
He is my favorite character, but I don't have him as my icon.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, why don't you talk about Mioe? Because I feel like his was one of the other stories that really was impactful and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mioe is, without a doubt, probably, in my opinion, the best developed character.
Yep.
Son Mioe?
Yeah, in the show. I mean, in some ways, he feels more like the main character than the actual main character to me.
And Koto,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. And his episode in particular, where basically it delves into his past and how he basically came into being a part of this family, because I guess
We'll save it for the spoilers section, but I guess you could say it's one of the first inklings of how unconventional this family
basically
is.
Yeah, the Mioe is like the character that kind of runs you into how this family kind of works in terms of how it's built.
Yeah.
With his episode. But yeah, it's just it's also one of the really like darker episodes, his past and everything, and I just like how his development sort of involves not being so stuck on that and everything. Mioe kind of has to like get over himself after a certain point, because everybody's really like stuck on something in this show due to their family, and I love that about it. But I think Mioe is not only stuck on something, but because he's so stuck on his family and what happened, that he's like kind of holding everyone back,
including himself, really, as a person,
basically. Yeah. And I like how the show sort of like brings him to dealing with that and overcoming that, and yeah, that's why he's my favorite.
I can agree. I mean, like, I think that if it weren't for the fact that I had a character like episode for Yase, I'd agree. Like, Mioe has some of the most interesting set of circumstances in comparison to everyone else. And also it shows that, this perfect family isn't as perfect as you think it is, which is, and his views of his parents and the siblings are a little bit more complicated. Yeah.
Very dysfunctional.
I think one of the most interesting things is, like, before I think Mioe's episode, you still kind of have this idea that, like, the 3 siblings and the 2 parents are still, like, a pretty good family. And then his episode hits, and it's kind of like everything kind of opens up, and you kind of see all the different layers to their relationships and how everybody was sort of brought into everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just such a good way of, like, because I think a lot of people can relate to, like, seeing family, like, certain other people's families and being like, oh, it's such a nice, loving looking family and everything. But deep down, you don't really know about the sort of things that are, like, tugging, the people in those people in certain families apart, and or what issues they have and that sort of thing. And so that's kind of like a good thing that Kyousou Giga kind of explores, is how dysfunctional these kind of things can be below the surface level.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
below the fairy tale too.
Yeah.
That's a very well put statement, and kind of just goes into what I was going to say, that again, while I said sometimes I would get confused and I had to wait, I'm really glad at where they put Sun Moe's, Mioe's, god damn it, Moe.
Sun Moe.
Where they put Sun Mioe's flashback episode. It was a little later, but it hit really hard kind of because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely good job on the narration there. I really liked that placement.
It was a nice gut stab.
Wow. Wow.
We'll talk about that in spoilers. I'm a bad person.
I'm a
really
you're
bad
a terrible human being. Yeah. So moving on to, I think both Craig and John have Baby Koto.
There's not much to really say about Bab Koto other than the fact that she's Genki as fuck. She has a giant hammer and has 2 familiars with her, and she basically tries to reconnect and reestablish communication between these 3 siblings who pretty much have isolated themselves outside of these 3 wise council meetings that they show up to every now and again. And Sun Mioe is just like, I don't want to be a part of any of this, but hey, listen, now you gotta talk to your older siblings. And he's like, I fucking hate everything.
When I realized, oh yeah, I need to choose an icon, who to choose. When I was just waking up still, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go with Koto. Baby Koto. But yeah, like, with Mioe, you had all of that. Things like, hey, you're having trouble dealing with your older siblings? Here, have a little sister who's going to stir shit up. While on the surface, I think she was, like, simple in that she just kind of came along, caused havoc, and forced a change upon everyone else. In her episode, you do learn that, like, she's got this kind of disconnect from everyone else in that, like, she's always been, like, really strong and on her own, and she's really been looking for this family to connect to, and she's, like, had her dad, or her sensei, rather.
Who is her dad? You're not wrong.
But she also was like, well, where's Mom? And you never tell me about Mom. Where any of these other things that, like, I'm missing in my life. And then she ends up going to the Looking Glass City and finds a whole other family for her there. And just in her own kind of dysfunctional way, she's trying to find a place in this city. Admittedly by smashing a lot of it in the way, but in the process. But she's doing her. She's trying to find her mom. She finds her mom eventually. And Just watching her be the catalyst for everything else that happened. That's why I kind of really latched onto her as well. Plus, she's voiced by Rie Kugimiya.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's your bias.
Her voice actress aside, can I be the devil's advocate?
I might back you up on it, so please do.
Because Koto is actually the character I liked least. She frustrated me because, like you said, she's the catalyst for everything, but to me, that's all she is. Like, she is just a plot device.
I can see that.
And that's the only reason she's there. We don't really get her as a character, except for some episodes early on that kind of frustrated me because you're set up to see her as like this crybaby character who cries all the time, quote unquote, but she doesn't really. And her introduction is just so quickly done in episode 2 that I had a hard time understanding what her point even was. And then she was just kind of there.
Yeah.
And then she was just there wrecking things in the background until the end of the show when, oh, wait, she has a purpose. I guess. So I guess my frustration with Koto is she didn't, like Dominic said earlier, she didn't feel like a main character. She felt like she was there to be a kind of catalyst for the plot, and she may as well have been one of the robots for all I cared. I really liked her design, but I felt like I didn't get a sense of character from her. It also frustrated me because I didn't understand where the fuck she came from. Is she a drawing like everybody else? Did the mom and the dad fuck in the middle of outer space and she just popped out and the dad had to take care of her? I have more questions than I do answers, and her mood swings also just frustrated me. From going from, I'm Genki and I'm gonna do and make everything better, to, oh no, this is all my fault, to, and I'll get into more of this in the spoilers section, because I'm towing the line. But everything she did felt like, the plot needs you to do this, so I guess you should.
Fair enough.
And that frustrated me about Koto. I didn't think she was an actual character.
I would agree completely. Honestly, like literally to what you said, like whenever she came on screen, you just had all these questions. That was exactly it for me. And so she just kind of like veered me off from like being able to watch the show, because also like you said, I was like, where's she come from? How she exist? How's she here? I didn't understand that, and I couldn't get a grasp of her motivations like I could with the other 3 siblings. And then, like, this isn't really a big thing, but, like, the way that Dad Myoe talked about her in contrast to the other kids made me kind of frustrated. It
made me frustrated and also concerned in a couple of ways.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I wasn't a big fan of that. Even if it was based around plot, I was like, ooh, I don't like favoritism and things. So that's kind of what this feels like, and I don't like it.
You're the favorite child. Because why? Because you're so much holier than thou and have so much more powers than these other characters. Why? We don't care. We're not going to explain it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they did. She's like the actual child. She has.
Well, I get that, but I'm like, where did she come from?
Because they're both. I mean,
we can talk about this in spoilers.
I mean, better there.
Koto is just the embodiment of all my frustrations with this show.
Yeah.
I guess is the best way to put it. And again, like, I feel like she's a walking, talking plot device.
I back you up 100%. So yeah.
Anybody else have any feelings on Koto? Because I feel like, honestly, if you removed Koto from the plot and made Myoe the main character and him be the one who comes up with, like, the way to save everything and to make the plot progress, I feel like I would have liked Kyousou Giga better.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have liked the show better because Myoe felt like the main character most of the time, and I felt like we got the most time with him, and I think that also would have made a much more bigger impact at the end, knowing how he came into this family in the first place, for him to accept the family. I would have liked that better, I think.
Mm-hmm. I didn't like how much she punched son Myoe either, because I was just kind of like, I like him more than you, so could you stop punching him, please?
I was fine when she was punching Papa.
That was good.
Myoe, though. That was great. That was impactful. I think that was the time I liked Koto the most.
Yes,
was when she, because I felt at that point in time that was when she was most like a character. Was in some of her final scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I didn't care for her a whole lot, outside of her design and her voice actress, which were both nice. I like her fluffy little bow. I thought it was cute. And Rie Kugamiya, you can't go wrong with Rie Kugamiya, let's be real.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
I like her. I think she's great.
I love Rie Kugamiya.
I like her. I like how she also, like, I liked hearing her in this role specifically because I couldn't instantly place her because she just sounded so tomboyish and silly. And I think I felt the same way about Alphonse Elric. As much as I love Shauna, I think that her tsundere performances are much more outdone by, like, for example, her Koto performance or her Alphonse. But that's just my personal opinion. I like when she branches out.
Yeah, her Shanna, Tiger, and Louise performances sound very similar to each other. Whereas, like with Alphonse here, it took me a bit to realize. I was like, is this really her? Is it her? And then I got to confirm. Yeah, it's definitely Rie Kugamiya, and I really like it.
But yeah. That's my feelings about Koto. She's the one I actually wanted to vent and rant about, and I'm happy I got a couple of minutes to do so. Thanks for letting me do that.
Fair enough.
Thanks, guys. How did you feel about Koto? I never asked you.
Me?
Yeah, you. How did you feel about Koto?
I don't think she's that big of a problem. She's not my favorite character, but I don't think she's that egregious.
I don't think she's egregious either. I just think that she's a plot device.
I would agree, but I don't... In a way, I also don't think that's a problem. Primarily because the family... in a lot of ways, the family kind of needed a plot device to get back together. Like, that's... kind of they needed something to sort of
get them out of their funk.
Yeah, so
I just wish she was more of a character.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought her tomboyishness was pretty well put out there. I didn't mind when she punched Mioe because, to be quite frank, he needed to be punched.
I think I had a problem with the number of times she punched him.
What I'm saying.
Sometimes it would just be sometimes it would be just for no reason either. I liked the impactfulness.
Also, as someone who has had multiple siblings, I we punch each other. That's what you do.
She just met him.
I can get that.
Me and Craig, we get it.
Me and my sister didn't deck each other in the face. Maybe I just didn't have a conventional childhood, but...
I had older brothers. Yeah. We only wrestled from time to time, but no punches.
We didn't punch each other in the face.
Yeah.
Did you guys punch each other in the face?
We punched each other when we could. We also called each other a lot of names. We're cool now, but yeah, that was...
especially because I feel like these aren't, like, children. Like, they grew up. They're, like, at least teenagers. Were you guys punching each other in the face when you were 16?
My brother was still hitting me when he was a teenager, and I was... younger, yeah.
I have some concerns, but that's...
And my sisters, when they were teenagers, were hitting each other still too.
Yeah.
So.
That's a little worrisome. Am I the only one worried?
No.
I'm a little worried.
No, we're all fine.
I never decked any of my siblings in the face, but I dead-armed them.
Me either! Like, is this just something siblings do now? Because me and my sister got into fights, and we got into, like, one serious fight where, like, maybe I pulled her hair. We never punched each other in the face.
Oh.
I'm not saying we punched each other in the face. I'm just saying there was physical violence.
Sure, but there's a difference between physical violence, wressling, and decking someone in the face.
Okay, I'm not saying the decking in the... I'm just saying that I get the punching. It doesn't matter where it's being punched. I'm just saying I get the punching.
It's called tough love, also abuse.
Really? Because I remember when me and you have conversations where I'm like, I want Akihiko to hit me, and you're like, okay, it depends on where. So with sibling, it's fine, but
yep.
I think Akihiko hitting you is just weird in general. That is just a weird fetish you have, and I don't understand it. But as someone who has been hit a lot, I don't understand it. So. I've been there. Honey, it's weird no matter where you want to be hit.
trying to understand the psychology of casts. It's really hard.
It's a joke. Is joke.
Anyways.
But I guess we're divided on Koto, and that is fine. I'm just happy somebody is on my side. That's all I need.
I got you, boo.
Yes! Should we go to production, Miss Host?
Yeah, I guess we should head on over to production.
Productione.
I just want to say, to start this off, that people, I think people tend to have this idea of Toei Animation basically as like this subpar studio. To do like, there are more long-running shows that tend to have like hundreds and hundreds of episodes.
What's up, One Piece?
Yeah. And that's kind of a rare, and I think this show kind of goes into like disproving that. Because I think a lot of people who don't watch those longer running shows also don't get to see the parts where they really shine. Because Toei Animation, believe it or not, has some of the best like talent in the entire business. And that's because it's a studio that's been around for basically the entire history of anime. And this show goes a long way in showing a lot of that talent and a lot of where those animators can really shine, because the show looks really good, not only on just how it moves, but also how it's stylized. The show is incredibly it's unlike unlike very many other things you'll actually watch in terms of how it's presented and how it uses its influences to craft its world. So yeah, I think if you have your reservations about Toei Animation as a studio, since if you don't want to watch one of their more longer running shows, including stuff like Precure or anything, this is a good way to be like, oh, okay, they can actually like animate stuff when they're not on a tight production schedule, producing however many long running anime that they have to produce at once, you know. So that's just my just throwing that out there, because I hear that sentiment a lot. And as someone who watches a lot of like Precure and stuff, I'm like, actually, so yeah.
Do y'all want to know the production factoid, speaking of Precure?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
Director is Rei Matsumoto, directed Blood Blockade Battlefront Season 1 and Heartcatch Precure the movie.
That makes
also
so much
was
fucking sense.
Yep.
Everything makes
Oh my
sense
God.
now.
Yeah, she has an incredibly palpable kind of style. Like a lot of her Precure work is also very similar to this.
A lot, like with Fresh, she's helped with Yes Precure 5, some of Futari wa, Splash Star, not whole, she directed storyboarded some episodes, not the entirety of them, but also the writer is Izumi Todo, who has done all the mangas for Precure. It's the pen name that did Precure.
Yeah, it's the pen name
for,
it's like the creative pen name for basically just Toei.
Yep.
So there's no like real like person actually tied to that name. It's just, oh, that's how you know it's a Toei thing, as if that's the creator or the writer, essentially. And
the music composition is someone you would know, Dom. Your boy, Go Sheena.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
My boy.
Go Sheena tells Legendia, Tekken, and the Idolmaster. Yeah,
I was like, when we were watching it, I was like, oh, some of this background music's pretty good. I didn't know
it is really good.
I didn't know it was Go Sheena.
Yeah.
The music really set him like the production for. Wait, Craig, do you have any more credits before I start?
No, that's it. I mean, it's just an original, so yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the production is, like, really, really good. And I'm gonna say, like, if you just showed me this blindly and were like, guess a studio, I will admit that Toei would not be the first one that came to mind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, I'm not sure what would come to mind, because there is nothing else that looks like Kyousou Giga. And I think that that's one of its, like, main points that really makes it one of those anime that you really need to watch, is nothing else looks, sounds, and feels like Kyousou Giga.
Yeah.
I can't pick anything production-wise that reminds me of this, outside of maybe Blood Blockade Battlefront, so everything makes sense now, because I remember watching the first episode of Blood Blockade and being like, this looks really cool, but I don't understand what the fuck is going on! So, it's like a light bulb went off when you read those stat credits.
That's what? Yeah, when I heard of Kyousou Giga, and I wasn't discrediting Toei, but I was like, this looks like a Bones-ass production.
Yeah.
Good on Toei Animation.
I don't know. I think it was because of some of the wonky angles I saw, like when I would see this in AMVs and the action stuff. I thought it was Trigger or Gainax.
Oh, yeah.
I could see that too.
Yeah. I'm seeing everything everyone else is pointing out. It is really hard to say, oh, this looks like such and such a series by such and such studio, because you'd be like, but they've got qualities for other studios too, so what's going on?
It's the ultimate hybrid.
Well, not even that. I don't even think it's a hybrid. It's just so unique that you're attributing it to unique studios, because Bones and Trigger are known for doing unique and crazy things. I don't think there's anything in this that, like, inadvertently I think, wow, they're paying a homage to Trigger, or, oh, they're paying an homage to Bones.
Yeah.
I think the reason why you thought of those studios is because they are known for pushing the envelope and doing strange and weird things. And still are. I mean, hell, Mob Psycho is airing this season from Bones, and it again is unlike anything else I've seen outside of maybe Mob Psycho season 1. So, yeah, like, for sure, I can see why those would pop into your guys' heads, but I think that it still seems unique. It doesn't feel like it's copying anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. And it's
sure.
If anything, that's a mark on how good they did. Like, good job, Toei. You're standing up against and, with these, like, prolific studios. So that's really cool.
Yeah. And the thing is Toei is prolific, but I think it just gets a bad rap because of, like what Dominic said. Even one of the first things I said was, well, I remember seeing some things from Dragon Ball, Super that look like clip art. And I've had people who've told me, like, there are just some episodes of, Dragon Ball Super that look terrible. And it's because they're long-running shows. Mm-hmm. And I agree. Like, if you have a really long-running show, that you're probably going to have some wonky-looking episodes. As brilliant as Monster was, I'm pretty sure there were a couple episodes that were budget.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to go back and watch to find them, but I think that Kyousou Giga shows what Toei can do if they are given a shorter runtime and enough time to let themselves, like, sit and think and do what they do, I guess.
Definitely.
But yeah, show looks good.
Show looks great.
Show looks fantastic, outside of one scene.
Yeah, there was a scene where they had, like, two characters walking for a good 5 minutes and, like, nothing else was happening on the screen, and that was kind of okay. I think the reason why they did that, though, to give it some
credit.
I think that was intentional.
Yeah,
I don't think
get it.
I think either one, they were saving a budget a bit for a couple of scenes that happened after, or they really wanted to focus on what the guy was saying instead of having you pay attention to anything else, because the stuff that he was spouting made no goddamn sense, and you had to try and come to terms with it however you came to terms with it. So I would agree it may have been an intentional choice.
I can get that.
Yeah. We touched on it briefly, but yeah, I do want to say that just as much as the animation and character designs, the visual side of the show, the music was great. Really set some scenes. And for me, I'd also say the voice acting I thought was really, really good.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like Kuguri that much, but her performance here was pretty good, and everyone else was also really, really good. I was particularly a fan of my favorite trash voice actor, Akira Ishida.
Same, fam.
His performance.
Same.
Who's Akira in this?
Papa Mioe.
Papa Mioe.
Papa
Mioe he's a trip.
Son Mioe is Kenichi Kenichi Suzumura? Can't pronounce his last name.
I think it's Suzumiya.
Yeah, thank you.
Like, yeah, that was a funny thing for me, is I was really excited, like, the first episode, I was like, oh shit, it's Akira Ishida as, like, a main character, I'm so excited, but then I'm also bummed, because they ended up being one of the characters that I wasn't the biggest fan of by the end, and I was just like, oh man, like...
he still played that role really well.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially when you got to the more, like, snide and, or even, like,
trickstery,
silly parts of his
Trickstery.
his personality. Yeah, like, they did a good job of making him sound like how he was acting, even though sometimes the things he was saying and doing didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to ask you guys, we probably should have done this in the character section, but Papa Mioe, did you guys come to like him and understand him a bit better after episode 10?
Yeah.
Because I think I did. Like, I think episode 8 and 9, I was just so frustrated and confused, and then episode 10, I was like, okay, I think I get it. But I wanted to see what everybody else felt without going into spoilers, which we probably will later, but...
I think I got it, but I still am kind of confused by it.
Towards the start, he was just this, like, huge enigma, and you're like, what is his deal? And he gets even harder to understand as the series continues. Then that happens, and you're like, oh, fuck this arsehole. And then episode 10 happens, and you're kind of like, okay, no, I kind of still not quite agree with your methods, but I kind of see where you're coming from. And
I think the voice actor portrayed that very well, what you just said.
Yeah,
so,
I think the voice
that's
actor
one of the
definitely
reasons
portrayed
why I
that
brought
very
that up.
well. And yeah, like the episode 10, you realize where he's where he was coming from, and he shows, okay, no, I was being stupid. I think he kind of shows that too. But.
Yeah, I feel like I got it, but I didn't have any feelings about him or, like, for him. I still, like, couldn't really get any attachment, and there was a lot of, like, emotional setup around kind of his resolve, and I was just like, whatever.
Do you care? Yeah, at that point, did you care?
For me personally, I didn't, though. To backpack off of what Cassie mentioned earlier, Koto's role in that scene, like, regarding a lot of that resolve, I really liked that. That was really good, and I appreciated that scene a whole lot. So he's just kind of there for me. He's there.
I like the resolve of it more for everyone else than for him.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That's fair.
Yeah.
We got a lot of feelings.
Yeah, I can tell.
We all do, I feel. So that's not a bad thing.
Do you want to go on to ratings, or?
Up to you.
I mean, it's up to everyone else.
Well, I mean, it's up to everyone else, but then you're the one who has to steer us there. We can't make it there.
I mean, that's why I'm asking. Do you all want to still talk about some stuff, or do you want to go to ratings?
Opening and ending.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay.
We got to talk about that. Thank you, Cammie.
Yeah.
God bless. I forgot all about those.
See, imagine if I just went on to ratings, we wouldn't have talked about it.
Okay, I will shut up.
Thank you.
No. So, and I mean, to be fair, we did talk about this, like, pre-recording too, so it's A-okay. I thought the opening was all right. It did start to get stuck in my head around the last episode.
I liked it a whole lot. I liked how they did the little jump frames and how they each had their own little silly moment on camera. Mm-hmm. It grew on me. At first, I was just like, this is okay, but it's super forgettable. And then by the end, I was like, I really like this. Because I care about all these characters, and they're so and the song is just such an earworm. A soft earworm, which you don't get very much.
It is a bit of an earworm. I'm with Cammie in that I'm not too big on it, but it is a bit of an earworm.
I liked it. I don't think it's one of my favorites ever, but, like, I think I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
More than I did at the beginning.
I would agree with you, too. I really appreciate the visuals of it. I think for me, just the song's a little forgettable in my taste of music, but the visuals were excellent, especially because it was the opposite case for me with the ending. Where the visuals are just there, but the ending is, for me, was such a banger.
The ending song.
It's so good. Nice.
It slaps.
Yes.
It what?
It slaps.
Hey! Got it.
Would you say it's bopping?
Oh my god.
I said it slaps.
You can't do both!
To say it's bopping.
No,
I
you
said
can't do
it
both.
Slaps. Yeah.
I think you can do
no,
both.
honey, it slaps.
I think it can be both. Because I was bopping my head.
There you go.
It slaps.
And before we go on to the ending, I do want to also say with the opening that it's something that grew on me over time. I liked the song a whole lot too, but the ending is much more superior. I agree.
And they did that favorite thing of a lot of ours where they would start the introductory chords at the end of the episode, which I think is one of the best things ever.
I love that too.
Yeah.
I think I've come to appreciate it even more after knowing you, Cammie, because I'm like, I actually am noticing when the shows are doing it now. And I'm like, shit, this is a whole new level.
Girl, thanks to you, now I'm always going to notice, like, the distance between characters in episode 1 compared to the last episode.
You.
But yeah, that was a super fun thing. And overall, as a whole, I'd say they were solid. They were good.
Mm-hmm.
They were good things.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we can do ratings. Is that?
But wait, one more thing.
No.
John.
No, we
Throw
got to
him
ratings.
off the fun boat. Throw him off.
All right, so I'm gonna start. Since John had to interrupt, John.
Oh!
Right now.
Oh shit! Throw down.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching the series start to finish. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of zany fun. I didn't quite get everything that was going on, but I think that's part of the fun in a weird way. Like, I definitely didn't get everything that was going on in Fooly Cooly the first time I watched it. That kind of just encouraged me to rewatch it again and again and again. And I got a feeling that it's going to be a similar situation with Kyousou Giga. I'm not going to go watch it again straight away, but I probably will rewatch this sometime down the line and hopefully pick more out of everything that happened. Yeah, it was just a really fun ride, and I had a lot of fun along the way. The animation was awesome to watch. Music was great. The voice actors did their roles splendidly. There's a lot of good about this series. I don't quite feel like I can give it a love it though, but I still really, really liked it. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very strong like it.
Okay, cool. Now let's do Craig.
Hey.
So as Cass said, I watched this several years ago. Just watched episode 1, and I was like, man, this show's weird. Watching this all now and kind of accepting it as the crazy wild ride that it is, a la Fooly Cooly, or like a girl going to a like a fish out of water sort of situation. Alice in Wonderland, what have you, and other analogies to draw this thing to. It was fun. Again, animation was wild. It's the staff behind it has worked together before, and again, shoutouts to the music from Go Sheena, and the voice actors in this production are pretty cool. I would say I enjoyed this. I would say check it out. I can see why some people would be turned off to this show. And it is a show that's not that hard of a commitment. So see what you think. Yeah, that's what I say. Check it out.
Okay, cool. And next we have Cammie.
Sure thing. Yeah, I feel like kind of short, sweet, and to the point what we said. I really love the unique themes that are tackled in Kyousou Giga. It really does fun things as far as tackling the topic of family, which I really appreciate seeing in anime. And it's really cool that it did it in such a fantastical setting. The production is quite stellar and was definitely a seller for me. And I just, honestly, I could recommend it on the production alone. But I do think that it's also backed again by a unique story and by just such a fun cast of characters. I was waffling between a like it or a check it on this one. For me, I don't necessarily feel like I could say I like it right now, but I feel like on a rewatch, I will. So I mean, I'm going to give it a really high check it because I do think that there is a lot of good to be found here. Definitely check it out. And then also, if you're still interested, give it a rewatch. I appreciate a lot of things it did. I would just like to have a second look on the other side of the mirror.
Ooh. Look at you, Cammy.
So fancy.
I know. All right, now we have Cassie.
Well, how the fuck am I supposed to follow up after that?
That's just the pressure.
Girl,
that's just
you've
the pressure
got
I
this.
put you under.
Yeah, I'm also gonna go ahead and apologize in advance if you hear a child screaming in the background, because there apparently is one. So if that happens during my review, we'll try to cut it as much as we can, but some kid outside is yelling. Anyway, the kid yelling might be a good metaphor for how I felt watching parts of this, but I think that showed how much I actually cared. Like, I wasn't yelling internally like I was when I was watching Green. I was yelling internally like how when I was watching, like, Fully Cooley or Evangelion or Penguin. I mean, remember at one point I looked at Dominic and I was like, and you thought Penguin Drum was hard to understand?
Meanwhile, I was like, yeah, I got it.
I was just like, really? Like, really?
I don't get Ikuhara. This is easy. Whatever.
But, and I think that's where I get a little bit of frustration, not with the show, but with people who and this has happened to me within the last 24 hours, who are like, it's just different storytelling, like, you just don't get it. And it's like, fuck you. Ikuhara is literally one of my favorite directors. You want to go there? But anyway, that aside, I think that the show is unique, and it's extremely important, for, Toei's catalog. Because if you were looking, if Toei were to send in a resume for I don't know what, but if they were, this is what they put at the front of their resume to show exactly what they can do. And then a few clips from Precure and a few clips from other shows. But this show from beginning to end, probably because of its short runtime, is some of the best Toei work that I have ever seen. And I've seen more Toei than I probably even know I've seen.
Yeah, probably.
So I think that on that alone and its importance, I think that it's something you need to watch because it is very different, and I think that you will take something out of it. I think that my frustration with it, actually in the end makes me kind of like it more than I would say I just like recommend or check it, because I want to know more. I want to go back and do my rewatch. And I also there was so much stuff about this show that if episodes 8, 9, and 10 did not happen, that could have boosted this up to a love it for me. Because I was just, after episode 2, where I had my, my expectations put in check by my lovely significant other who says, Cassie, it's just a show, calm down. After I had my, my concerns and everything put into check and like just sat and was enjoying the ride, I was having so much fun theory crafting and thinking about all the amazing like themes and stories that the show was trying to tell, that I don't think that the last couple episodes ruined the entire package for me, as much as I really do feel like I need a rewatch to appreciate those last few episodes. So I'm going to give it a like it and stop being so long-winded. I think that the show is really good. I think it has the potential to be one of the best shows that probably came out the year that it came out, because it has just so much stuff there. I can't say I love it because I was frustrated, but I think I was frustrated because I was invested. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it that like it and scoot back in this squeaky chair and try and not make it squeak.
You do that. You do your best.
I did.
I try very hard with that chair.
So we got 2 like it's and 2 check it's. Where you at?
So for me, I didn't have I guess I just didn't have nearly as much like frustration with this show as other people seem to do or have. So I enjoyed my ride with this show. I was expecting something a lot different, considering the pedigree that it has in terms of its staff and where it comes from. I was expecting more fighting.
Yeah, same.
And yeah, didn't get a lot of that. I think that's actually my biggest, like, damn it.
That's your big detriment
It's like,
for it.
I didn't get as much fighting with the hammer
Yeah.
that I wanted.
I kind of
wanted more hammer smashing.
Wanted more hammer
though,
time.
you're getting more hammer smashing in this show than you're getting punching in Boogie Pop.
That's true. I did.
Ooh.
Fuck Boogie Pop. So yeah, that was basically my one issue. It was like, damn, I wanted to see the girl smack things with the hammer more, and it didn't, and not in like a comedic sense, but in like a
Fighting.
yeah, fuck yeah, smack that hammer.
Girl power, woo!
Yeah, basically. Didn't get a lot of that. So that was my one, like, but everything else, you know, like everyone has said, it looks great. It sounds great. The characters are lovable and enjoyable. The themes are like very palpable and just well presented. So yeah, it's like it. I'm glad I finally got around to it after having it on my radar for like
Gajillion years.
yeah, like 5 years or something. So yeah, like it.
3 like it's, 2
Awesome.
check it's. That's pretty good.
And then yeah, so for our recommendation though, I'm not going to be giving the recommendation because I couldn't think of anything outside of like Fooly Cooly, which I haven't seen in full, so I can't really recommend it. So we're gonna give the recommendation over to Cammie.
Sure, I could do that. So yeah, if you like really cool, vivid, fluid, imaginary animation style, and if you like feeling like you are inebriated of some sort while watching a show like this, and you are in the mood for more kind of zany, I'm not really sure what's going on, but I'm here for it, you could check out Masaki Yuasa's feature film, The Night is Short, Walk On Girl. Recently got released on DVD and Blu-ray by G-Kids. And if you want to hear some thoughtful analysis of it beforehand, you can listen to Craig and I along with Zach and Paul over at Save Our Progress. We did an anime movie night about it that just came out. So you can listen to us geek out about it, and hopefully you'll have yourself a good time.
Yeah, plug.
Ooh.
Yeah, which we got way more of those. You want to keep rolling? Go, go.
So before we move on to our spoiler room, I just want to go through our social links. You can find us on Twitter at twitter.com/AnnieChatbox, where we will attempt to give you all the latest updates about what's going on with the podcast, the Patreon, whatever we're doing, what we're having for lunch. I don't know.
I mean, you're in charge of it now, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I can. And if you want to shoot us a question, you can send us an email at anniechatmail@gmail.com. We would love to hear your input, and we would also like to read them on the podcast itself. So send those emails. You can listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and YouTube. So if you happened upon this episode on one of those things and maybe you prefer it somewhere else, that's where we're at. Our Patreon, as mentioned before, is patreon.com/AnnieChatbox. If you would like to support us, support the podcast, help us get out of the poverty box to a more spiffy box, then
Spoofy box! I want a spiffy box!
spiffy box.
I want a spiffy box!
That's the way to do it. We it wasn't that funny.
It was to me!
But while she has a laughing fit, yeah, we recently used what we had in the Patreon funds to get John a new microphone.
Yep.
So
A behind the scenes thing, you guys also helped pay for our SoundCloud this year.
yeah, basically.
For the most part, we had to throw in a little bit of money, but you gave us severe discounts. So
Yeah.
thanks for that.
So basically, the Patreon funds go to supporting the podcast. Our current patrons are Sarah, CorpsyAnn, Carol, Suki, and Paul. So thanks to them for being so great and continuing to support us. And like we said, Craig is also on another podcast at Save Our Progress at soundcloud.com/SaveOurProgress. So you can listen to him whenever the hell you want, as well in addition to this, with that podcast.
If you love Craig, you got a lot of options.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I mean, Craig goes where Craig wants to go. He's all over the place.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. On to spoilers.
Go into our spoiler room with all of our fancy chairs. I love that we have a box that's the poverty box, and we also have a tree house.
Yes.
I love this. We just have many different things that we just decide to sit in, I suppose.
I mean, maybe, well, it's more like you just bring the box up into the tree.
Oh, no, if you listen to the most recent Shoujo Treehouse, we have made a canon where we have a treehouse, we just don't let you guys in. Mostly because John and Craig are hoarding a diamond that they refuse.
Exactly. They found a diamond in the rough, and they're not willing to part with it, so we can upgrade our box.
I'm not in on this lore.
We were also, you got to listen to the episodes. The lore is building as the episodes happen.
I'm not.
No, we mentioned you. We said, and Dominic's new and doesn't know where to go.
Yeah,
so
okay.
you're figuring it out. I mean, eventually, maybe you'll crawl into the treehouse with us. I don't know. But for now, we're all in the box, sitting in our beanbag chairs that also fit in the box somehow for our spoiler room.
Craig and I never found that diamond.
We never will.
Well, you better keep searching.
We never will.
Anyway. So, spoilers.
Spoilers!
Wasn't it that we were trying to explain our feelings on Papa Mioe?
Papa Mioe could be the entire
detail.
He could be the entire spoiler room.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So God fucked a Buddha.
Right. Here's a fun maybe thing to think about. For the longest time, I thought that the bunny rabbit, the monkey, and the frog represented the OG 3 siblings, but it's not. It's Grandpa God.
Grandpa God.
Yeah.
It's Grandpa God.
Grandpa God.
Grandpa God. And Mioe is God, I guess, because he can. Because why not?
You know, we love double names in this show, so there's also Grandpa God and just God.
God. I think that, like, I came to, just to get us kind of started, I came to like Papa Mioe a little bit more once I calmed the fuck down, because early on in the show with baby Mioe, you learn that he doesn't always do things with the best of intentions. He's like, oh, here's this kid who's obviously traumatized from his family being killed. I guess I'm going to resurrect him against his will. And then when he obviously shows that he does not want to be part of this family or die, I will put him in a Stockholm Syndrome situation until he likes it.
Yeah.
That's really fucked up. Like, you see this happy family, it ain't so happy.
No.
He don't want to be there. He just want to be dead.
He made the siblings to help him, though, Cass. He made the siblings to help him.
Yeah, but that's the other thing. Like, he made the siblings to be a comfort. He didn't make them because he necessarily loved his children. And I think that that's something that they play with. And also, you realize by the end that he didn't actually ever really love himself.
Oh, no.
So how could he have loved anyone else?
Yeah.
So it's like this weird, like, he did almost everything as if he wanted to be in this family and be loved, but he couldn't bring himself to actually accept that love because he never loved himself. And there's that old line, to love someone else, you've got to love yourself first. And that's really cool. And that's why I kind of liked him at the end, because I understand that conflict, but they could have made it a little clearer, and they could have made him a little less of an asshole first, but hey.
No, you gotta tear down the 13 dimensions first.
Yeah.
I guess the point is, I get it.
I'm glad you get it, because...
But it took episode 10 for me to get it, alright?
I mean, at
stabbed his daughter in the fucking chest in episode 9, alright?
That was like,
and this is trying to kiss her. That was weird.
Yeah, that was weird. I mean, the stabbing thing. It was like some Kingdom Hearts bullshit where he like stabbed her and then he like turned it like it was a key and he was messing with like her heart or whatever.
He hit the keyed lock.
Cha-ching.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he does the same thing to his brother, and then he's like, "Okay, you can go home now." And his brother's like, "Okay," and he just does what he wants. That's how I interpreted that. At least it was just kind of like a, I'm God, I can do this. Bloop, I can take control of you. Okay.
Are all the people at the shrine gods?
No, I think it's just him and his brother is like I don't know if his brother is God, but his brother
is his brother Jesus?
He looks over things, which is weird because he's technically the observer.
Yeah,
but he doesn't want to do his job, so I guess his brother kind of basically does the job, essentially.
I definitely missed this. Was it clarified why he, like, de-aged?
Reincarnation?
Nope.
I don't. He
I guess,
reincarnates himself.
Mm-hmm.
I think the big thing with that, and this kind of clicked for me in the final episode where you have the shot with both Baby Myoe and Baby Koto, and then you have the two forms of the dad next to them, and they look.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I think that was done to do a visual parallel between like the dad and the two kids, essentially. Yeah. I don't know if there's any like legitimate explanation how he got there. I think it was just
no. They just mentioned he was reincarnated.
Yeah,
and you just have to believe it. But for some reason, when he was reincarnated, was around the same time that Koto was born, and because she was born, Mama Koto couldn't maintain her form.
Yeah.
So that's why he had to raise her. And I literally looked at Dominic and I was like, did they just fuck in outer space or something? Because they had to have because they had to have consummated Koto after the other siblings because they didn't know who she was.
Oh, you're thinking about this in human terms. They're both gods. They don't
God and the Buddha.
have to put.
But
they don't have to put the thing in the other thing to make a
power.
child.
When was she created?
You don't know that's how.
But
it
Dom,
works,
Dom,
right?
answer.
She was born from the ether.
Dom, I need you to answer me this though. If you were given the option to fuck Mama Koto, wouldn't you fuck her?
Without hesitation.
I would be frustrated if he didn't fuck Mama Koto.
But we don't know that Papa Myoe has the same priorities that I. Okay. We can't make that assumption.
Blind.
Exactly. That's my thing. I'm like, come on. It's
okay. Anyway, regardless if Koto was conceived naturally or she was a drawing to or whatever.
I don't think she's not a drawing.
I don't know.
She is their legitimate child. I think.
Because she did inherit like the mom's powers or something.
She has both their eyes.
So
the red
I'm
eyes
assuming she is like, and where all of the other siblings are not naturally, their children. So that's where my question is. When the fuck did she happen?
Yeah.
They both left.
But when they left, were they still? Because it was implied that when they left, like the mom like lost her form.
Well,
no, she had to give it up or something.
She lost her form because she had. So the reason they leave is because the mom has the visions about the Looking Glass City getting destroyed, and she thinks, "Oh, this is because of me because I'm using this Buddha's body." So she and it's a wrong assumption. So they both leave because Papa Myoe is like, no, I can't have my wife, destroy. I don't want to give her up. I want to be with her, whatever. We're going to leave. I'm going to try and find a solution. So they leave. And I guess during this time when they're gone somewhere, they have this child. And by having this actual child instead of just drawing some fucking pictures or stealing some fucking
stealing some fucking kid
I like how you say it so pettily. They steal somebody else's dead son.
Yeah, they steal someone else's dead son. Instead of doing that, they have an actual fucking child for once. And because they do that, the Buddha, the mom who is basically inheriting her form from the Buddha. Her powers go into the child.
The beginning and the end.
Yeah, basically. And it's like this rebirth thing. It's very kind of vague in a Japanese like folk.
It's like reincarnation.
Yeah, in a very Japanese folklore kind of way. And the even the beginning of the show every time it's like, oh, the boundary between humans and gods is very vague. It's just very vague. And I feel like that's just how it is, but when they leave and then they have this child, the mom, her form is going into Koto. So she has to stay in this
dimensional space.
This place, that isn't really explained all that well either, but she has to stay there because if she doesn't, she'll fucking disappear if she tries to be in any sort of actual other, like, space.
There's also a moment where Papa Myoe expressed his, like, confusion and frustration how another being could have created life other than him because he was the creator of life. I believe that was Mama Goto giving birth to baby Goto.
Baby.
Another thing that I guess kind of irks me, and maybe this is something that I assumed happened, but I also thought that when Papa Myoe gave Son Myoe the prayer beads, he was also instilling some of his blood, his DNA, also into Son Myoe. So even then, it just makes me more frustrated. If he also, like, contains, like, their DNA, I just get really annoyed that Papa Myoe always refers to Koto as their daughter and then does not refer to their other kids as their kids. Like, I don't know, it just really rubs me the wrong way. I'm like, it's like having adopted kids and then you favorite the one that you had biologically. Just was something that irked me a lot, but...
Oh no, it irked me too. Especially with, like, how much the other sibling... I'd say more Yase than Kurama, perhaps, but all of them wanted their family to come back.
Yeah.
And they loved their mom. I mean, I remember at one point I was like, I love Yase a lot because she loves her mom. And Dominic was like, well, I think all of them love their mom. And it's like, yes, they do. And that's what makes the situation even more fucked up because they're almost an afterthought, kind of, to the dad.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to think that he's a good dad.
No, God.
That's fair. Yeah.
God is not a good dad.
And to be fair, the mom loves all of her kids. I get the feeling that Mama.
Yeah, the mom.
Mama
she is much better at being a parent than he is.
That's why I love Koto. That's why I respected her by the end, because she's a good mama.
Yeah, like she actually gives a shit. I think the thing with Myoe or Papa Myoe is that he's like, his head is just so far up his own ass that for most of the show.
I guess that's what happens when you're God.
Every time someone punched or slapped or smacked Papa Myoe around the face with whatever, because even Grandpa God got in on hitting Papa Myoe.
Yeah.
It was so fucking good.
God damn it.
Yeah, and I think that's where I started liking the show more in, like, post when I had time to think about it, because I don't think they ever presented Papa Myoe as someone you're supposed to like.
That's true.
Like, even from the very beginning, like, he was always very nonchalant. Like, oh, I guess I love you too. Oh, I guess I have these kids now. Oh, I guess we're gonna leave. And I think that deep down he does love his wife, and I do think he loves his children, but I think that he puts those second par to him learning to love himself.
Yeah.
And I think that's brilliant. And when I had time to think about it, I was like, okay, cool. I get it. I like it. I still don't like you, character. But I think I get what they were trying to do. I can't understand your frustration, though. I really can. To be fair, though, I think they want you to be frustrated, so...
That's true. Yeah, and I mean, there was even just, if you go into the whole thing, and this is something Koto says, and it could be deeper, but I did like what she said about, like, you know, now that I've seen it, I don't want it to just disappear, whatever. And if you're even just looking at it as, like, yeah, our family's, as you said, Dom, the family is not perfect, but it is worth salvaging and keeping around. Like, that's a really, really good, like, theme and resolve to come into the show. So, yeah, I would agree.
Another thing I wanted to talk about in spoilers is I really think that the turning point for me liking the show a whole lot more was with Myoe's backstory.
Yeah.
Because you get a glimpse of he tried to kill himself at one point. Like, they present that to you, but they don't explain it. And then eventually when they do explain it and you realize, like, this kid... and there was a line that was delivered, and it's one of the only ones in the show that actually physically caused me pain to listen, was when he's trying to get Koto to snap out of it, out of some sort of funk she's going through, and he's like, my family's dead, and it's been dead forever. Yours is right here.
Yeah.
And you, like, realize that he never really thought of anybody as his actual family. I was just like, ow, that palpably burns. Ow. And I think that made him more complicated and interesting as a character, and also made it that much more, I guess, satisfying when he finally has that resolve at the end that he wants to live for real and actually have a family for real this time. And I'm like, okay, good. Cool.
Yeah.
I like this.
Was anyone else not a fan of how they completely shafted Yase? Because I hated that.
I was annoyed.
Yeah.
She had her episode, and then it was like she was a background character for all we cared.
And then
it was very frustrating.
They just started erasing her memory for, like, no reason that was further brought up on, and then it's not like Kurama's memory was lost. I was just like, what are we doing?
Although I felt really sad when her house vanished along with all of her stuff, and they made a point of showing all of her things individually disappearing. I was like, but those were her memories of her mom.
I think that was kind of the point, though, is that for her memories were like her most important thing. Mm-hmm. So to show them gradually being erased was like, that was...
yeah.
I think in Kurama's case, you didn't see it, but I assume that, like, his science team disappeared.
His science lab, yeah.
Mm.
I think that one of the things that I could think I didn't really like Kurama at all, but one thing I did like in the opening was when he was twirling in his little sake bowl. That amused me every time. I'm like, he's just twirling around to the tune of the music.
I just find it so interesting that they decided to grow him. They're like, let's take him from, like, it's kind of just dweeby kid, and then little imp man that floats around and dresses like a Buddha. I was just like, this is a very interesting creative choice.
And the giant Buddha robot that he had built.
Oh, yeah. That was cute.
Yeah, he was interesting, Kurama. Mm-hmm. I feel like out of all the siblings, I felt like I understood his deal, but his deal at the end to me seemed to, like, change. So I didn't know what was going on with him much at the end, but I'm happy they all got to be happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the Papa Toei proudly presents Papa
Oh god, don't bring Papa Toei into this.
Oh no.
But I think that Papa Moe getting his head out of his own ass was really nice. It was a nice result.
Literally getting head-butted by his daughter.
Yeah.
Well, getting hit by his daughter and his wife and everyone yelling at him, and God finally going, "Hey, could you maybe not?"
I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry. I destroyed the dimensional barriers.
Weird little plot detail that I didn't find particularly relevant is the fact that I can't remember his name, but Shoko's, like, the guy that, like, assists Shoko in the science lab, he ended up, like, working for the shrine for some reason.
Yeah, at the very end for some reason.
It's implied that he actually comes from the shrine originally, that he's ran away.
Yeah, there was a moment in one of the earlier episodes between him and Kurama where he says that he was actually from the shrine and came into the world.
Maybe I just missed it too.
Yeah,
it's
like a small little thing that they bring up.
It is kind of blink and you miss it.
I guess
admittedly.
Yeah.
I guess I just didn't really understand the significance of it, but, like, you know.
I mean, it wasn't even like he was keeping an eye on them or anything, because he ran away.
Yeah.
He deserted.
His name is Fushimi.
I did think it was cute that he put a tracker on her little Game Boy or whatever.
Yeah, they were cute. They could walk and hold hands, and I would be happy.
Yeah. They were cute. I also loved the episode where she lost that remote and she, like, tore up the city trying to find it.
Oh, yeah, with her mafia gang.
That was pretty amusing.
Mm-hmm. And it was in the restaurant that she went to the entire time.
Oh, also, we never mentioned the best character, which is Inuyama, by the way. Inuyama is incredible. He's the doggy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was supposed to say, who was Inuyama?
Yeah, I was like, who?
He's the good doggy.
Oh, Doge.
Good Doge.
Yeah, and you disappear. I got sad. But, yeah.
Of course, the dog needs to be mentioned if Cammy is on an episode.
Look, when I was...
If there is a dog, Cammy will be
When
there.
I was choosing characters after I knew you had Yase, I was like, all right, it's either Koto, Mioe, or the dog. But I couldn't talk about the dog, so I changed it to Koto.
I like Mama Koto. She's good.
I like that she got angry at Papa Mioe near the end. Like, that's really what got me to respect her. And I was like, I feel like you definitely also made mistakes, but I feel like you are, like, feeling the impact of that now. You want things to get better now. And you genuinely do love your kids. And so I really appreciated her by the end.
Mm.
Also, she's hot.
She is.
Is she?
She is. She is. She's very attractive.
Huh.
You're not into that, Craig?
I'm just more like, she didn't leave that much of an impression on me. I'm like, she's mom. She's like...
But she just had such an intricate design, like her eyes, she has the actual like lips that have lipstick on them. Like she's beautiful. Like they put a lot of detail into making her look like she borrowed a Buddha's body, basically, that she looks otherworldly.
Yeah, there's a really pretty, I'll find a gif of it, but that scene where she just kind of emerges out of like the planet when Koto's in space and like reaches to her. Oh, it's so pretty. It's beautiful.
All of her facial expressions and smiles are also very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how her hair moves. I love how she has, like, the kind of rabbited, like, hair bits that represent the ears or whatever.
Yeah.
Her design is just, like, brilliant.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's about it for me for spoilers, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I ranted about Mioe and me wanting to know where the fuck Koto came from, so.
You good?
I think I'm good.
Alright, so y'all want to get out of here then?
Sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna make some chicken.
You make that chicken.
I'm gonna make that chicken. Y'all get that bread. We all earn that bread.
We did. We earned that bread.
Actually, very quickly before we leave, what's everybody's favorite bread?
Garlic bread.
French bread.
Yep.
Oh, I'm torn between garlic bread and the kind that you get at Outback Steakhouse. I can't remember what it's called. Pumpernickel bread.
Oh, yeah.
Garlic bread is just French bread, though.
With garlic. Oh, I know. I was
Garlic
like,
John, do you have a favorite kind of bread?
You gotta pick the plain bread.
fine.
John, do you have a favorite kind of bread?
Without also jumping on garlic bread.
That's cheating.
How's that cheating?
Tiger loaf.
Because it doesn't come like that. You gotta pick the plain loaf by itself. That's your favorite bread.
So wait, John, what was that you said?
Tiger loaf.
I've never heard of that.
It's actually very common here.
There was an episode where I asked him to, like, tell me his favorite bread so I could make a sandwich for an analogy, and I remember him saying that. I don't remember what tiger loaf is.
It looks really cool.
I remember you mentioned it.
Actually, never mind. I changed my mind. My favorite bread is pretzels. Like actual pretzels. From Germany. With salt on them.
Good stuff.
Why are you looking at me like that while you say this? It's not like... Why are you so sensitive on pretzels?
He's very defensive on his pretzels.
Because...
I just discovered something real quick before we close out. You can actually buy Kyousou Giga.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you can
on
purchase
Discotheque.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I thought I saw it on Right Stuff, too, but I'd have to check.
It's
I thought
it's
it
on there.
was.
Discotheque released it.
Yeah.
All right.
It's probably through Discotheque, yeah. But
Just to tilt Dom once more, I am retroactively changing from garlic bread to melon bread.
I mean, that's
melon bread is good.
It's pretty good.
I remember back in the day, I was really into Shakugan no Shana, and her thing is that she loves melon bread. And I said that I always wanted melon bread, and my friend Pete bought me melon bread for my birthday.
Aww.
I remember that years ago. I don't know if Pete remembers it, but he bought me melon bread, and it was my first melon bread, and now every time I go to a convention, I buy like 5 melon breads. But anyway.
You really do.
I love it. Melon bread is so good. Anyway, let's get out of here. Let's go.
Let's get out of here.
Bye. Oyasumi.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, yeah. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.